My name is Felix Betancourt, and today I will be presenting a PowerPoint on the diversity issues that exist within our prosecution profession in the U.S. and how the system disproportionately negatively affects people of color. The word prosecution was derived from France in the 1500s. A prosecutor is a lawyer who conducts cases against a defendant in a criminal or civil court. Prosecutors are sworn into office after completing their law degree in courses which focus on public policy and criminal law. They complete an internship period and are required to take and pass a bar exam. Once the person has passed the bar exam, he or she is able to obtain an attorney license to practice law. Let's take a look at the power of discretion possessed by the prosecutor. In most all court proceedings, not a judge, an attorney, or even current president can tell a prosecutor how to proceed and or prosecute their case. Taking a look at the diversity issues that exist in our nation among race and gender within the judicial system, a nation where 90% of all criminal cases are prosecuted. 95% of elected prosecutors are white. 75% are white men. 3 and 5 states have no black elected prosecutors. 14 states have no elected prosecutors of color at all. Just 1% of elected prosecutors are minority women. All of these numbers partially tell the story as to why our U.S. judicial system has failed the American people. What does this remind us of? Our textbook, The Matrix Reader, provides us with a very good detailed look into how our nation was built on a hierarchy structure dating back to the 17th century. Peggy McIntosh explained in her article in section 2 of The Matrix Reader that privilege exists when one group has something of value that is denied to the other, simply because the group they belong to, because they exist in a relation to each other, oppression and privilege operate hand in hand. One cannot exist without the other. What is our current prison population costing the American taxpayer? It costs taxpayers approximately $32,000 annually in the US to house a prisoner. Um, that's not to mention that in many states, it is said to cost taxpayers over $100,000 to house a juvenile. But these stats can be misleading. Let's look into this issue in a meso level, if we may. New York, for example, paid $168,000 in 2013 to feed, house, and guard an inmate. These numbers are alarming. Let's look a little deeper into this crisis. With a predominantly white prosecution system, how are they trained to deal with such diversity? It is clear that they are not trained to properly address and work with the criminal justice population within our courts, leaving their power of discretion useless in many cases. The U.S. locks up people at a higher rate than any other country. If we put these stats into perspective, if African Americans and Hispanics were incarcerated at the same rate as whites, the incarceration number in the US would drop by 50%. How can prosecutors change the negative diversity trends that exist in our nation's judicial system? By taking a proactive and interdisciplinary approach, not a reactive approach. What does this mean? Prosecutors should be mandated to become more involved in the communities they serve by working closely with police officers, teachers, pastors, and other community leaders to help break the communication boundaries between those in authority positions and the local communities. Conducting fundraisers that will allow for the creation of scholarships to law schools for inner city adolescents to enhance the diversity of minorities within the judicial system, particularly for the prosecution profession. Creating inner city deterrence programs for children endorsed by prosecutors, such as sports, work study programs, dance, etc., to engage kids that would otherwise be tempted to engage in criminal activities. These changes will help prosecutors reduce the recidivism rate by having a better understanding of who the person is that allegedly committed the offense, which may prompt and encourage prosecutors to take more chances on stipulating the services that an offender really needs, as opposed to recommending the maximum penalty, which continues to add to the burden of society. However, if prosecutors continue to do their job status quo, society will continue to carry the brunt of this growing epidemic. I leave you with a video that I found interesting that isn't often witnessed in our courtrooms. A video that, although doesn't include the prosecutor directly, it illustrates the power of diversity. In addition, I also posted a link that will take you to a YouTube video of prosecutor Mr. Foss, who provides us with an insider's perspective of the changes that are needed within the criminal justice system. Thank you.
Yes. You know they love you. They wouldn't have brought you here if they didn't love you. You think I love you? Yes. I wouldn't be here, but you've been through a lot. But you too pretty to be sad. What kind of grade you make? Honor roll. Honor roll? Yes, ma'am. And what else did you do? Dance. I want to go to Juilliard. Sweetheart, I understand your mother died. And I know you hurt. But you can get over it. You can make it. You got to believe that, though, right? Yes. Focus on your dance and your cheerleading. You can make it. And I'm going to give you my phone number. You can call me when you want to talk, okay? Yes, ma'am. Anytime, because see, that is the side of you that I want to see, because that's what we're going to work on. We're going to work on the good one that comes out.